Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to cover the all-new Foresight app that was released here in 2025. I've been using it for the last several weeks, getting to know it, and I want to kind of give you a full walkthrough of the app so you can kind of see what's in it and what it might be good for. I covered it at the PGA show early in January before it was released and saw some sneak peeks of that. You can see that video on my channel, but let's jump into what it is now that it's fully released. So right here, you've got a homepage. So you can see at the top, I've got my GCQuad connected. Down in the middle, I've got my latest activity, which was a shot analysis from earlier today. And then down at the bottom, you can see there's a box for course play. So I believe it actually pulls in some stats from your course play if you're using FSX Play for simulation or whatnot. I'm not quite sure how much of those stats, if that's like from my last round or whatnot, because I would think I'm better than 3% greens in regulation over time. So maybe that was like my last round. And then at the top right, you've got club highlights from my bag, which we're going to talk about a little bit, but you can see your most accurate and least accurate club, which checks out. Down at the bottom, you've got tabs. We're on the Discover tab. You've got an Activity tab, which shows all of your different session types, my bag assessments, and shot analysis. You can open those up and dive into them. That data is saved. But then let's start a new session. So we'll hit the plus button, and you can see there's only two types, a my bag assessment or a shot analysis. And we're going to go with shot analysis, which is going to be like your basic driving range data. I've already entered all the clubs into a my bag. So here they are. These are all the clubs in my bag. But you can select from all clubs, every type of club if you want. So I'm just going to select a gap wedge. And you can choose to add tags to the session if you wanted to kind of sort through them. If you wanted to put like, this will be our video session, and we'll apply that. But you could do that if you're like testing out different clubs or different balls or working with a particular training aid or something on that session. You could tag it for those reasons. So we'll hit begin session. Apparently I have lost connection, so we're going to connect again. It is connecting, and it's pretty quick. And I'm going to hit begin session. And now this opens up really your shot analytics sessions, and this is the main screen with data tiles. So you can see I've got carry, offline, side spin, launch direction, club path. Pretty cool there. You can hit down at the bottom right, customize tiles, and you can choose from all of these to turn on. So you've got all the ball flight data, ball launch data, club data, cool stuff here. We can add things by just tapping on them or take them off and go from there, hit apply. I actually like that because it's pretty cool being able to only select a very few set of tiles to really focus on whatever it is you're looking at. You can see that this is what they did with the GCQuad Max, which allows you to customize the tiles you see on the launch monitor screen. So you can go down to even just one or two tiles if you want, if you're only looking at club speed, if you're like doing a speed training session, or ball speed, or club path, whatever's most important to you, angle of attack could be one. But let's actually hit a shot here, show you what this looks like. Grab my gap wedge. And it's pretty instant, right? You can see the data popped up really quickly. You can notice some are red and green. Offline is green, side spin is red, and that's actually set up through zones. So if I click on zones there from the bottom right, you can create a minimum and maximum value for whatever data tile that you want. So you can see that I turned on an offline zone here with a minimum of 5 yards negative and positive, that would be left and right for offline. And I also have one for side spin, which is negative 500 up to a max of 100 RPM. So I want a straight or draw side spin is basically what I've put on there. And you can do it for club path, launch direction, carry, all that. And so that's a really cool way to just give you the red light, green light on this data as it's coming in as you're hitting shots. It'd also be really cool to just turn that down to one tile. Well, let's do two, carry and offline. Just turn it all off, and you can just have a very minimal screen there. How far did it go, and is it within my zone for offline, which is pretty cool. So those are tiles. If you go over to the top, you've got table. That will list all of your shots in a table view, and you can see the data there. Let's turn some of that back on. Side spin, club path, angle of attack. And you can see once I turn those tiles back on, they fill up on the data there on the table. And then we've got on the top right, a dispersion. So I'm gonna need to hit some more shots here, but this will chart your dispersion circles as you're hitting balls. So let me hit a few more so we can get a circle going. You can see that first shot is already plotted on there. There's 2. I think it'll pop up whenever I hit a third. And there's 3 shots and got my circle there. So those are really the 3 tabs for a shot analytics. You've got your data tiles with your zones and you can customize those tiles. You've got a table view and you've got a dispersion view. Now if I had added more clubs, like I could keep the same session going and add like an 8-iron, create that. Now I could start an 8-iron dispersion circle on this as well, and I could switch between the 2 or show both at the same time, which is a very cool feature. I find that this works very well. You can also hit the bottom left corner and see your shot list with each club. It'll pop up there on the left. You can do that from any of these views. So that's really a shot analytics session. So I find it's very useful. I like being able to minimize the custom tiles that you have on there. If you're at the driving range and you don't want to look through 20 different data points, you just want to see 2 or 3, I think that's a cool feature, and I think the dispersion circles work very well, and that's what everybody really wants to see. It's a great, useful tool to have that with your launch monitor. Let's continue here. If we hit the plus button, we can go into a My Bag assessment. Basically, what a My Bag assessment is your club gapping, your bag mapping session. So what that does is if you create, let's go with a 6-iron, and it's going to tell me to hit at least 3 shots with a 6-iron. You can choose a minimum of 3. It's suggesting you go with 5 or more, but you can really do as many as you want. And just hit continue. It's going to tell you to align. And now it sets this up, and I can hit shots with a 6-iron that will be saved as part of my bag mapping session. Now, I've done that for almost all of my clubs. You can do 1 club at a time and come back to it later and do the rest of your clubs. If you don't finish it all at once, which I have not, you'll get really tired. But when it's done, you can go into down here at the bottom of the home screen, My Bag. And you can see here all of the clubs that I've entered into My Bag, and next to them, I've got your average carry distance. If I click on the gap wedge, for example, it's going to show me the distance, a high of 118, low of 113, basically. My accuracy, 80% center, 20% right. And then you've got your history. There's the bag mapping session I did on May 22nd. I can expand that. It's going to show me the shots from that bag mapping session there. I can click on any of these clubs that I've done and see the same information. And then at the top, I can go to distances. And this is going to show me my distances throughout my bag. You can see I've stopped at 7-iron. I skipped a bunch and went to driver just because I wanted to, see driver. I haven't completed my full bag yet, but this is what it looks like. Now the cool thing is we can go to dispersion. And here is basically a dispersion chart for all the clubs that I have mapped. And you can see we can click on driver, and there's my dispersion circle with the driver. You can see all the shots that I did with it. You can click on a particular shot on the map and it's going to show you that shot and the data for it. Very, very cool. We can go down to like 9-iron. There's my 9-iron, same thing. Average carry and average offline at the top. We can click on all and see them all in a row. Very useful stuff. Okay, so let's say that you've created your bag, you've done all of your bag mapping sessions, and you've got all of that information now. The next feature is that it syncs with Bushnell. So the right tab here at the top is Sync. You can see Bushnell Golf link enabled. We've got all my clubs and they are turned on to sync. So this is the feature that Foresight was really excited about at the PGA show, and they have integrated with Bushnell Golf. Foresight and Bushnell Golf are owned by the same parent company, so not a surprise to see that happen. So what we can do is we can open the Bushnell Golf app, and this is a GPS app that you can use to get your distances while you're playing courses and basically save your scorecard and all of that stuff. And you can link your Foresight account to your Bushnell account, and it's going to pull in all of this information from the bag you created with your Foresight launch monitor. So if I go in here, I've got an open round that I can pull up to my golf course. And if I go over to hole 17, obviously I'm not on the golf course right now, but I'm close enough to hole 17 that I can see this. Let's just click over here, and you can see for this shot, if I'm aiming over here just right at these bunkers, it's pulling in my actual dispersion circles from the account. So I can move it around and decide which club is best to hit it where I want to go. Now, obviously, you can do the same thing. I'm just not close enough to the green from where I'm at here in the garage to overlay your dispersion circles onto the green. So that's what you would obviously want to be doing. You can take your true, real dispersion circles, overlay them on top of the green, and with that information, be able to choose the best aiming point for that club, for that distance, that gets you away from any trouble like water or bunkers or whatever it might be, and pick better targets using the Bushnell app and your Foresight launch monitor. That's really cool. I can't say that I've used it on the course yet. I will try it out soon. I do use Arcos, so I've got the Arcos app going and all that for my strokes gained and shot tracking and all that. So I have not really used the Bushnell app before, but I do want to try this out once I finish out my full bag assessment and see if it helps me pick better targets on the course. Okay, so guys, this app is probably best used on a driving range. You can see obviously I'm here in my garage simulator. There's not a big need for it there. I am doing my bag mapping assessment here in the garage because I can, but I personally just don't use my launch monitor out on the driving range that often. But if you do, this is great. And I can say that I'm using it here on my iPad because it's a nice big screen. But if you use the app on your phone, it looks very similar to this, and it looks very well designed for a phone as well. And that's a lot more convenient if I was going to use it on the driving range rather than bringing an iPad and a launch monitor. I'll have my phone with me anyways, and I can just record that data that way. So I love the shot analysis, being able to customize the tiles and get the dispersion circles just on a regular driving range. I love the My Bag and how it links to Bushnell. I'm looking forward to trying that out on the course on a real round. I do have one problem that I continue to run into with this, and I want to know if you're having the same problem as well, and that is the Bluetooth connection. So I am getting constant disconnects, and whenever I try to reconnect, it won't let me. The only thing that is working is restarting my launch monitor, and then it will allow me to connect. But I kind of feel like if I go too long between hitting a shot or doing some kind of activity with the launch monitor after it's been connected once, that it will disconnect. I don't know if that's an issue with my particular GCQuad launch monitor or if it's an issue with the app or the iPad. I'm not sure. So I'm curious if you guys are having that problem, but that is a big bummer because if I'm on the driving range trying to practice and all that, I don't want it to be disconnecting on me and then restarting and fiddling with my devices and all that. I want to hit balls. Just something I've noticed. Let me know if you've had that issue as well. Okay guys, that was a walkthrough of the Foresight app. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks guys.